How are we doing today? Now, I have just a general collective message. We'll play it out, see how it goes today. And Tigger wants to get in on it. Here. Meow. Well, come on now. The moment I was ready, she came over and started crying. I call her car alarm. Look, you're on TV. Crazy. Well, so the cards that fell out while I was preparing this morning was leap, you go first. The universe will catch you. Well, shit. If that isn't what I do best, I don't know what is. I mean, what's a leap? It's more like just falling upward or something like that. I don't know. And double mission, Pleiades, channeling and uplifting humanity. So those are and tied to rebirth with conviction. Where there's a will, there's a way. Firmly held belief or value, unwavering dedication to an ideal. Oh, now you went down. Okay. And then we have two Divine Feminine cards here. The Saraswati, the goddess of self-knowledge. The essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. Tied to Queen Esther, the morning star. My ego is in the service of my soul, and I trust my soul's divine timing. So, one thing I wanted to go over that I was guided to is how, whether I brought it up before or not, is how, like, what's rebirth, right? Rebirth happens every time, every second. And, but there's certain moments that change the perspective of everything. And it's easy to get locked in and trapped into what that might mean because each has to find their way out of the maze, the labyrinth. And it's one and the same for everyone in the globe at the same time as it's ultimately different, 251, for each and every one of us. And that's because each of us comes with our own family, our own characteristics, our own special birthday, name, connections, and so forth. And then all the things that we learned that happened to us on the way towards that tower moment or that pinnacle. And then it strikes each of us a little bit differently. It strikes a different chord with each person based upon our upbringing and how our soul, how our mind tries to unravel or wrap around that concept. And so one thing that I think it's element 50. It's 10. I think it's 50. The initials are SN, like sun. But 10 is because it's really weak. I mean, it's not really weak, but it's not that strong. In order to make it stronger, what do they do with it? They fold it. So then it goes like the symbol of Aquarius. Just once, obviously. And that is that is similar to the journey of the soul, how it banks off of highs and lows, and at the same time as there's also this spiral motion to it, like the way the planets move around the sun. As the sun is moving, then it's not like, it's not like a flat table. It's like the sun's moving and it's spinning also and rotating too, while all the planets are going in a corkscrew and spinning in cadence with it. And So for each of us, um, it's challenging and been more and more challenging at the same time as less and less challenging as we've came from generations past. Because at one time, for instance, well, so then you wake up, what happened? Oh, and then it would just come to you. Or you be the one guided, like for instance, oh, shit, I need to become a priest, you know, and or whatever, and was available at the time that would fit that motif of how it worked. And then it got more and more complicated because, well, that's too simple. And then each person just, easy come, easy go kind of thing. And lost my train of thought. Just a moment here. Well, then as time moved forward, then there's all these options, right? And each person wants to be in control of, but it comes down to each person, has a divine mission that's multifaceted. One is the energy that we exude all the time, everywhere we go, and building upon that. That's like your star power. And that you take that with you everywhere you go, regardless of whether anyone recognizes it or not, or whether you get paid for that star power. And like Francis of Assisi, the story of everywhere you go, then that energy raises or lowers or evolves the vibration of those that you're around. And of course, because of the last like 300 years or so, especially, there's been a lot of magic and spell work tied into ever since the creation of the Bible because of what the Bible created as a magic book. And in order to balance the universe, and all of those that all of a sudden saw an opportunity to be like, well, if that works, then why don't we try the opposite thing? And a lot of play, whether it was for great intentions or ultimately dark intentions. But for instance, like the things that were done during World War II are playing out now. Like it took like 80 years for things to come full cycle. But that cycle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, where everyone is waking up faster, but then more confused or less confused, meaning, move on. It's whatever. And that's one thing that I find that is common in masculines naturally is this idea of strength and fear are somehow tied together and linked. And that strength in numbers, or I need my gang, I need my bros, I can't do it alone. I need my brother. And or just shutting down completely and hiding all that and all of a sudden stopping their evolution. Or pigeonholing it and going, okay, well, I'm just going to do this acceptable thing. Let's just say I'm going to choose the Bible or any one thing. I'm going to choose business and fuck all the rest of the shit. I don't want to deal with that spirituality stuff, right? But everything is spiritual. So, how can you let yourself down like that, right? Especially if the weird opposite thing that a man would say, well, I'm the one that goes to work, I'm the one that pays the bills. Yeah, but that's a metaphor, especially if you don't love it. And you're not growing each day and having something worth sharing, even if it's just smiling. That simple, being around. And because of that spell work and things, that's been part of the work behind my own spirit, mind, body, all intertwined, tied to the celestial, and also linking up with and evolving in front of and beside and as an exception or removed from any other artists or concepts in the playlist work is to both leave information behind uh, for whoever may understand it or however each might want to see it, to give new directions for in the universe, and to break up that spell work when it looks like, well, what's this? But if all minds are connected, right, and one could have the mind of anything or everything, but then there were certain people in history that took control of it, but what's left behind? They have a book published that says, okay, so here's a chart and all this stuff, and here's how to go about it, or here's how my take on religion. But each of those is a trap and a manipulation in and of itself, where my energetic work has been to break that up. Whether anybody can witnesses it or understands it or not is separately from, to some degree, from the reality of what that work is about. And it creates protections and growth for mankind that's far-reaching, and gives new ways of seeing things. And those that are practitioners of any kind can, people like to look at the details, like, for instance, like, oh, we got a program that does the Bible code, we'll go through, okay, so then this word's in there this many times and things like that. Well, mine's like on the spot, like syntax, like by the letter, by the concept, like boom, okay, so here's an energetic concept, and it weaves things together, while at the same time there's no weaving, it's just straight on, and that's using my ego for soul and humanity's purpose, to help others in all ways, even those that want to do dark magic, especially if it's directed directly at me specifically, or if it's at the mind of everyone else in order to take advantage. Then my work benefits everyone, and in some ways it benefits me nothing. In fact, it's like, well, here's my face, okay, now what am I going to do? But that there's a lot of strength in that. It's the other side of strength is fear, because, well, it's kind of like depantsing oneself right in front of everyone, and everyone can take an awkward or specific stance for or against it. And, well, there's no for or against. It's a standalone thing. Plus, it's tied to all these different things, and so it's really a mystical kind of process in and of itself. Well, so there's this concept that, depending on where each person's rebirth happens in their life, there's all the things, all the bends and folds and whatever, substances and traumatic events and whatever that lead up to that spot. And then from that spot, then it tries to unravel and figure it out, and it has to go backwards in order to go forwards. But forwards was always kind of a backwards movement. And in a 2D representation, say, okay, so then here's perfect birth, and here's perfect dead end of perfect rebirth, of encapsulating all things and ending up, okay, so I conquered the universe and I got it. But then now I got to go back through everything and then carry everybody forward. When, well, where was that? If I'm always been here, kind of thing. And most people, they, well, we could just say all. I mean, even uh, don't start at the perfect line of all and nothing, and so then their beginning is somewhere on this scale, and then their ending isn't doesn't encapsulate everything or nothing, or it has a certain tint to it, and it only goes so far, and then it comes back. So then each person, once they wake up, then they start to see, okay, and depending on their environment, uh, then they decide how they want to fold it in order to get out of the cycle, in order to just give me myself. I want to go forward. But then ultimately, like for instance, if you have everything in the world, like unlimited money, then what do you have to offer? Other than, well, everybody could use some money. Big deal. And at the same time, well, everyone needs more information and entertainment all at once. Oh, things to think about. And so then that's been the challenging and curious and interesting process of especially the world since the 90s. Let's say since gangster rap was introduced in 93 or so. And the creativity and of each person trying to break the mold or come up with a new way to do it for so long. And um, and for a lot of people, whether so it's challenging because, what is rebirth? So many people have never seen it and don't know the process. And once if they did see it or they get it, then they automatically fall in line. But then for the world to be at the state it is now, it's scary to change, isn't it? It's scary to learn new things, especially if you have to go against your own self and go against your own ideals in some ways, at the same time as you must uphold them. And every single job, every single position there is out there in the world, pretty much as a rule, has been created to be what's the phrase again? In conflict with its own self. By doing it, automatically you broke rules, even if it's the most held position. And then, so then by acting out that job, then you're weirdly revealing the stupidity in it. And that's a hard concept to realize, right? Because then that's where there's the pride's in the fall of the pride. I don't know. Like, I want to be about business and money, or I want to be about family. Well, then to be about family, the weird thing is, then most people all of a sudden close that off. I'm about family. Okay, well then, is there a human family, or are you just talking about like you want to go pick up some people who are like you, or like your birth family, or you want to have a church family? Oh, but then all of a sudden you were about family, and that's a huge wide open concept. And then the first thing you do, boom, you just pigeonhole it, and you're like, I want it like this. Okay, now I got it. Done. Not done. Not done. So, and how to get everyone across without each person having to, but maybe it does have to come to that at some point. Weirdly enough, see, that's the weird thing. So, like, for instance, the indoctrination, like each concept that's been placed over certain eras on purpose or decades is only so that it could go against itself. That's that tin roof. In order to force people to evolve, where one year, oh my God, weed, marijuana, that's awful. You know, that's like the worst sin on the earth. And here we're going to show, like, oh, don't let your white women around black guys because, you know, she'll smoke that wacky weed and pretty soon they'll be, she'll be raped and taken away, you know, like, oh my God. And now they serve it to kids. And they're making recreational everywhere. But then that's weird because then people talking about drugs. Most people's grandparents smoke weed now. You see what I'm saying? And 10 years ago, everybody would have gone to jail. They're criminals, despicable people. And now, everybody can go to the doctor and go get it. Or just, there's stores in town selling it. And you just ask somebody, hey, here's $20. And you're going to give me some, yeah, okay. I mean, it was already free on the street anyway, but now it's been commercialized, but now it's okay. Now that the government supports it, which shows who was controlling the system in the first place, because whenever you got in trouble for that, then who was profiting off of it? The government and the system. But now when they say it's legal, see, now that's a double entendre problem. Because, well, everybody does too much if they do it. I mean, it shouldn't be an everyday thing. Honestly, anything that's everyday becomes a problem. And it should have some sort of purpose, especially since it's sacred. It does open your intuition and things like that. So then what the first thing is, they want to make it too potent. They want to make it about the flavors or the smells or this or that, you know. So it's about all this ego stuff. It's about doing it with your friends. It's about smoking too much. It's about you know, it's about eating and watching Family Guy and whatever. Oh, need it for your anxiety or this or that. But ultimately, like, it's a sacred tool. And so it should be used as such. And so it's not neither evil nor accepted. Both are wrong ways to see it. That's that duality they put into everyone. Like, oh, for instance, amphetamine, that's bad. But, oh, you can go get Vyvanse for your child. Ritalin, Adderall, did I say Vyvanse? Vyvanse for kids. Like, you can get over-the-counter versions. You get nootropic versions. You can get, oh, but that one's a bad one. Yeah, but the weird thing about that one is that one makes people, boom, wake up. And, weirdly enough, so then ascetics in, say, India or whatever, I believe, like people of Sikhism, right? You know, you'd fast for a couple weeks and chant and do all this weird stuff, and then it would take you to the place of the mind where you can get to in a few hours and do 2 to 3 weeks, if not years worth of work in 1 week. And not work like you have like stuff you produced, but like interior work with the spirit, with the mind, with the Godhead within all things, and see one's own energy reflect off of everything and see how your mind is feeling this or whatever. And then boom, then, oh, look, patience. We're talking about speed, right? The ground balanced it perfect right there. The only way out is through. Object permanence, forbearance, under strain, delayed gratification. But what is better than delayed gratification? That's where the victory, the feeling of getting over something, getting through something, but what is over and through if it's just our spiritual development? But then, so then that's why there's no such thing as a lesser evil. I mean, there is, but who wants the lesser evil? And why does evil have to come into it? If you're going to do something, then you need to focus on it, on why you're doing it. And it's not to get by. Like, I think that's so weird how people take amphetamines just to get out of bed or to be motivated each day, whether it's from your doctor or otherwise, when it's a tool. All these chemicals are tools for self-development, and none should be a crutch where you need it all the time. As soon as you're taking it every day because your doctor told you to, then now you're really fucked. Now you're in a trap. And both your health is declining and your spirit is leaving you. And you're becoming complacent. And the ego is somehow, in some ways, turned against you, where you're not working with it, for it, or beside it, and then you're supposed to take the regular dose until, oh, well, now I can't tell, but it works. Whoa, what the fucking good is that? It'd be better to fucking nosedive your fucking Jeep off a ravine, and then know you can pick yourself up from the Jeep crash like Groundhog Day, and then come back and be able to look at that from holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Okay, now we learned something. Am I? But what is? Oh, am I going to do it again or not do it again? See, there's that duality of the mind of caring. It's not the right way to put it. It's difficult to explain because it isn't about caring what anybody else thinks, and at the same time, we're all connected. So then we must care to some degree, or at least see and witness and look at ourselves at right in the mirror as to our purpose in the whole thing of it. Well, so having said all that, let's see. I guess I don't have it. Well, forget it then. I want to pull some cards here, and here, I haven't done this in a while. Let's start with the coins. Old Faithful. Let's see if I got a. I can't find the dang thing. Preparation. See, and that's also a thing. So then when everything is evolving as it goes, right? But then to be all set up like ahead of time, and then to be, okay, so now I'm done and I'm ready. But then okay, now we're flip the block over, and now, well, here's the thing, and now to go away. And that's how we're trained, where, oh, you go to work, you go to church, but everything's broken and separate. And that double, that really puts a kink on everything, and that they did that on purpose, because the spirit doesn't work like that. Where is that? I just had it. Hold on. Sorry about that. It was underneath the deck. So, growth doesn't happen, in like 5 days a week, then it's this way, and then 2 days a week, it's that way, and on every Saturday, this happens. That's not how life goes. It's always changing, especially if you're on the spiritual journey of continue evolution. And so to accept that is to deny one's purpose. where each has to break out of the structure and ultimately gain control of that, and somewhat separate from the control and flow through a process. It's like swimming in a river that's always changing. And to have that comfort and that convenience of, well, so I know what days I work, I know what days I'm off, and what time I'm supposed to be there and what time I'm not. Then the weird thing is it breaks us down. And any job that you do 5 days a week, within 6 months, it starts breaking you down. Pretty much any job. Because nobody's supposed to be that locked into doing it. Even when you work out and work your muscles, you don't do it every day. Everybody knows. What does that cause? That causes your muscles to, you have to break down your muscles to make them stronger. Yeah, but then they have to have a healing cycle right after for a couple days. And so then that's the opposite of the work week, where they're like, oh, well, we need you 5 days and for this long period. And then you get a little bit of recovery. But you get recovery every day. And half the time when you're working, you're not working. Or, and that's not how that's not how it works. And they've done that on purpose. So then for that convenience, you give away so much of one's potential and ability and growth and strife and struggle to become. Or everyone can just go sit behind their desk every day and then, then easy come and go on your money too, because you get that check and then what you're going to do? Oh, well, I got a raise, now I have extra money. And then boom, you go get some more shit. That's going to cost you ultimately, and probably something now and something later, and it's going to continue on. And all that is going to probably hold you back from your growth. And that money, it doesn't equate. It doesn't equate. You're sacrificing everything to have nothing. And all the things you get from it are all it's nothing. Ego stuff. Stuff that just takes up space, costs money, and keeps the world going in a debt cycle of needing to make shit just so that people can have shit so that they feel better about themselves. Because without that shit, then oh, well, all the girls liked me because I had an awesome pickup. Or because, well, when I'm like, hey, I make $80,000 a year. Oh, on the date. Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. So then she has something to go tell her parents. Yeah, I met this nice guy. Yeah, he makes twice as much as I do. He drives a real nice truck. Sounds like a good guy to me. Easy. Okay. Yeah, right. Like that's how shit goes. But that is how shit goes. It has nothing to do with nothing. See, they set everybody up to be in a conflict of interest, and that's why marriages don't last and why everyone's so unhappy and needs drugs, but not like the way that I described it. Needs it just to get by. And then half of one's life living through the doctor's office that is mostly taking from you and taking a lot more than having a temporary drug addiction that works through, because the doctor, you had to give up consent and they gave up consent. And so, oh, see, we're all playing nice now. And you take the pill, you're like, okay, done. And everyone stops working. You're like, can you up it? Okay. And so then the doctor's office is almost this place of complacency and stupidity, of the unwillingness to look at oneself and to take care of oneself, which is one of those interesting concepts of conflict of interest. Because once you start going to the doctor, you're probably going to die quicker through that process than you would to avoid doctors and to believe you can heal yourself and destroy yourself for a year or two off and on to seek higher guidance from your own soul and through your own destruction and rebuilding, because the ego protects one. And so when you take something with the intention of knowing and learning through that. But one has to be isolated, because as soon as there's somebody else around, you lean on them, they lean on you, and then you might as well, it's like twice as bad as a doctor's office, because then you just accept the best and worst, and then it's just a dead end cycle. There's no growth in it. Like, okay, so then, I worked out, and then now I have the rest, and then now, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking creative, but that's not a creative process. Then you have something to show for it, the work you've done, how you've evolved. When you're the doctor, that doesn't ever give you anything like that. Almost all the creativity in the world came through struggle, strife, being stuck without an answer, or through drugs and being surrounded by ways that weren't going to work. And the system is built the inside out way of that, as both a protection and a rearing tool to make everyone burn themselves. If you want the easy way, well, there's plenty of easy ways, but easy ain't going to get you much. And that's what 9 to 5 and the consumerist capitalist version of, well, it's about money or it's about appearances, is really just a dead end thing. It'd be best to never make any money your whole life, and at least be available to evolve and have something left behind. Even as simple as whatever I'm doing here. That's accountable. Let's see where the energy of the collective on the pole might be for today. From this moment forward. Whether it wants to come out. We got 8. 7. 9. This should be 2-part answer. Excuse me. 'And the final one. 8. All right. So let's see what we got here. We have the lake over the mountain at 31. At 3851. Evolving and changing into the mountain over the lake as 41. 31, 41. Those numbers have been coming up a lot for me recently as well. So let's see what insight and advice might be able to ascertain. So the energy right now is moving from sensitivity to reduction. The success of sensitivity is beneficial for the true. It is lucky to wed a woman. As I say in the alchemical process, the greater, like Carl Jung had a spiritual partner that was always there, and he said that he couldn't have came up with and written the books and done all the work that he did unless she was there. But even like we go back to alchemy of actual, like when it was, I can't imagine what it was like in the old times when alchemy first started. I mean, imagine nobody's got the good measuring tools, and everything's got impurities, and everyone's just trying to figure out, and then nobody knows, like, okay, you mix these two chemicals, then boom, there's a poisonous cloud, and boom, everyone in the room dies. Like I don't know, that's some scary shit. Try to Well, they'll try to turn lead into gold, like, but they said, that a woman would be required to be around. Sensitivity means feeling. Flexibility is above, and firmness is below. The two energies respond successfully, or sensitively, and thus get along with each other. Stable and happy, the man is humble to the woman. And that is why this success is beneficial for the true. It is lucky to wed a woman. All things and beings are produced through the sensitivity of heaven and earth. The sensitivity of sages moves people's minds so much that the world is harmonious and peaceful. Observe what they are sensitive to, and the conditions of all things in the universe can be seen. A lake on top of a mountain symbolizes sensitivity. Cultured people accept others with openness. And moving into 41. Reduction is very auspicious and blameless if there's truthfulness. It is appropriate to be steadfast and upright. Is it worthwhile? It is worthwhile going somewhere. What is to be used? 2 bowls can be used for presentation. Reduction means reducing the lower to augment the higher. Its course proceeds upward. If there is a truthfulness in reduction, it is very auspicious and blameless. It is well to be steadfast and upright, and it is profitable to have somewhere to go. But what is to be used? 2 bowls can be used for presentation. The 2 bowls must be timed appropriately, which is an interesting concept. 2 bowls timed appropriately. Reduction, a firmness, and increase of flexibility have their times, and reduction and increase, filling and emptying, go along with the time. There is a lake below a mountain, symbolizing reduction. Thus do cultured people eliminate wrath and stop cupidity. Not stupidity, cupidity. All right. Hold on one second. Just want to look up the word cupidity. Just for all of us. Some clarification. Cupidity. Come on. Greed for money or possessions, or wrath, being wanting to take something out on someone. Yeah, very interesting. Fits in because cupidity also is tied to anger and greed. That's interesting how anger and malice are tied to wanting to possess stuff, like a big truck or loud pipes or a fancy mansion, or that showing off like that is tied to malice and anger and hatred toward others. And here it says, new wealth, however tainted by cupidity and egoism, tends to be favorable for the arts. Yeah, because that's how they tie everyone in through contracts. And then once you got overboard, then they're like, oh shit, now I need some money so I can do more stuff. As if creativity didn't come for free, right? And then you get wrapped up in, oh, I got to pay infinite money at the same time as I'm doing all this stuff. And now I'm tied to all these other entities, uh, my manager or, the label or whatever. And now they tell me how, when, where, why, that I got to do everything. And they just sit at their desk and tell me, well, that's how it's going to happen. And then they make all the money and they ain't got to do shit. Like, and so then, that ties in perfectly well. One should do what they do because it's what they love and enjoy. But it's easy when we've all been trapped by a system that's broken, and both sides are, as if there were sides, are tainted as hell. And made to go against each other to keep anything from working its way out. So, let's see here. We're given the Black Madonna, Our Lady of the Hermits, and the High Priestess, and Hedjuana. The transformation of pain and suffering into a greater capacity to love. But it came to me as it's not about transforming it necessarily. This I transform pain and suffering into a greater capacity to love is kind of a broken and weak way to put it. Outside of what it is to alchemize, which is to experience it fully and then put down and change. Like it just happens. There's not this I transform and find suffering so that I can fix it. But see, that's how the system has it. Like, oh, were you a victim of domestic violence? Hey, you can go to college for a course on how to do that. And we'll use and abuse you for money and drag it out in another way and tell you that this is a good way to be. And then you could work for the government and help people out of that. Yeah, that's what I want to do. But no, it's just another version of being used and abused. Ultimately, all the departments, like for instance, like DHS is supposed to help people, but almost everybody who's ever dealt with DHS knows that they tear families apart and fuck it all up just as much, if not more. I mean, the good thing is that sometimes, it saves people in the situation, but then all that money put into DHS could be to raise society instead of being this entity that's separate, using people who are hurt. Like for instance, how most cops have a complex for power and insecurity that came from their childhood, and that's why it makes him feel secure, makes him feel like a man, in order to be like, well, you can't do nothing to me, and if you do, well, I got the wrath of God with me. I got my star. I got my nightstick. I got my fucking gun, my taser. I got a radio, motherfucker. I got a fast car. I got lights. Everybody can see this. Yeah, look, I'm power. Oh, but I'm a nice guy. I'm just pulling you over just to. I want to ask you why you were going 3 miles over the speed limit, and decide whether I'm going to take advantage of you right now. You know. And then, bye. And now I got something else for my ego to spin around on. separately from building up the person you ran into, or yourself, or the system. Instead, it's theft all the way around. I am one with my soul. Giving a vow to a system apart from your fellow mankind, humans, people, civilians, is not being one with one's soul. It's being an aggressor. Aggressors, they can like to uniform. So then there's a challenging thing where all of the professionals, they wear the doctor outfit, the judge outfit, the police outfit, the priest outfit. In a sense, like that's the weakest spot in society. And that's why they have all the power. But then, on a slivered line, apart from them and everyone else. And then they got their own gang of others like them, but then that's controlled by a far other entity. And then the people on the outside, who's inside or outside? And those that are under them, or the government that's above them, or the system. See, then they're trapped on the spindle of this is a huge problem here. This is a huge problem. Everyone that wears a uniform, this is a huge problem. But we needed those in order to make it so that we can somehow make it so that everyone has these characteristics within them to work on the greater soul. So that everyone has healing capabilities without taking any medicines, or because the mind is the greatest part of it. And the same with if that concept of fear. If you think you need a gun, then you're probably one that is perpetuating violence by that fear, that it sends out a frequency of itself, which is why men have been sent to war to weed them out as one of the reasons for war for a long time. Because of the lack of wanting to evolve and the spirit of lack of being blind and lacking understanding and having a right to, because of whatever gave you the right to do that, which is where it in America has made it so it's inverted, where if you have a right to do something, you have a right to do it to yourself. More than anything. Want to beat somebody up? Well, there's a lot of ways to beat up one's own self rather than to take it out on others. And if we're going to take it out on others, well, we got to be accountable, which means, hey, there's got to be a record. And for instance, my work, shit, I've had at least 10 opportunities to hit somebody. And a couple of people got their slugs in. I got one hit in the last 10 years. Have I hit any of them back? No. And that's what made them mad. That they couldn't get me to make me do what they wanted me to do. And then, but if I would have, they already had it planned where there was multiple people that would jump in. Okay, well, how pussy is that, right? To make somebody do something. But then they couldn't make themselves even hold back when somebody throws a punch to be like, nope, I'm not going to hurt you. Boom, I'm not going to hurt you. And now I want to get a gun. Now I want to kill you. What? I'm thinking of us and them. You're not thinking of anyone, and everyone's on your side wanting to get in on it so that everybody could hurt. What the fuck? Are they like with the system or something? It's such it's just unimaginable. And shit, it's everyday life. Most places in the world. Because of that masculine weakness of strength is weakness. and fear is power. And so, boom, there. I'm not going to deal with myself. I'm not going to think. I'm not going to grow. I'm not going to learn anything. I don't need any excuses. I know it all. Boom, you're dead. Boom, you're dead. I'll do what I want to. Boom, you're dead. Okay, well, we need to start gathering up men starting about ages 17. And we need to start sending them off to actually see what that, oh, I'll do what I want. Boom, fucking feels like. You might as well. There'd be bombs on the road. Yeah, oh shit. Damn. Yeah, now you can't just take it out on nobody anymore. You're just walking along and oh my God, now I'm missing half my body. Yeah, okay. Well, now you got a lot of time to read. Oh, you don't want to do that, do you? Or to learn. And so then they've continually tried to force in, it's neither negative or positive. The spirit of all mankind has been evolving this process to reveal the deeper nature of, okay, where are you being called to? If you knew you were going to be supported going a different direction, where would you go? I don't have an answer for myself, other than kind of what I'm doing here. And it's tied with all things. Like, I could speak at any church, any retreat. And at the same time, I can go any of those places and just absorb it all like a sponge. At the same time as I just walk up front and be like, okay, well, you know, I got 5 minutes. Cool. And contribute just as much as, you know, the person, anybody that's, you know, put their life into it. At the same time as, oh, shit, I just want to learn. I want to be around people. I want to grow with people. I've had to live in the war zone of isolation and accept all others, regardless, in every part of the world and in every time and space in all of humanity, and be all by myself and never be by myself. What's a brother? I mean, metaphorically, like, what's a battle brother that's got your back? I don't know what that is, unless it's of mystical nature and sacred orders. We're just being called to journey. And the question is, where would you journey to? I myself, I mean, is it a place? Any place is a good place. Truthfully. You can find wonderful inspiration anywhere. Especially as an outsider passing through, but I've always been the outsider. But what's Native 51? I mean, are we on Earth or are we not on Earth? Like, do we not speak the same language or do we not speak the same language? I mean, do we not have the same resources at the touch of our fingertips? To be like, oh, well let's see what this has to say about it, but it doesn't mean that this has any power over anybody or it's even right. But then the conversation can evolve because this is the, like, whatever we pull up in here, in a sense, that's the dead end. That's already been put down. So then that's what's got to grow. I don't necessarily want to pull the tarot right now in this reading. Just talking about the modes of society and the transformational process, I suppose, in as general a terms as possible, at the same time as channeling the ground along with it. See what it gives us. Yeah. So then that's the thing about this 5 days a week, on and off, and knowing where your money's going to come from and such. Like, life should be about mystery. That's where the power and magic is in. But then, oh, well, that's what the holidays are there for. But then shit 1 or 2 times, and then it's like, okay, well, that's, everybody knows what's going to happen. Like, so we're guided to finish with these 4 cards. It's Black Moon Lilith, to embrace the mystery. That's even better than variety is a spice of life, because if everything's a mystery, then well, what's not variety? What's spice? It's all scintillating. Pisces, I believe. Number 24. There was 12. Hey, so that's a lot of 6s. For love, Venus, and then faith. This 9th house, 33. And see, interesting thing, faith is always talked about in religion, but faith, this 9th house, look, we got the Ouija board, palm reading, all these things are tied together. The book, in a sense, is so magical and removed from anything that it's almost like the perfect dead end without, and not a dead end at all. It's just, okay, well, we can all talk about certain things forever, but it means something and it doesn't mean something. Why is it there? At that note, I'm just going to grab the holy books real quick and read a passage out of them. Well, video might cut off. We'll make it brief. Close this up. Because all things go together. See, that's the weird thing about choosing a religion. What? Who's choosing a limitation? You know, I enjoy the beauty of each place. It's like, you know, you go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, it's a Mexican restaurant, but, you know, they have American food too, you know, and you can get a steak. Well, that's not necessarily a Mexican thing, you know, and where you can get like, you know, a burrito or, you know, whatever, something more fancier or more traditional Mexican, or you can get something. But then, oh, well, then that's weird that we would want to eat something different all the time, but gravitate towards some things. But then when it comes to like the most important part of life, we're going to only make it like one. Either it's going to be a limitation that we have each day as a tiny limitation, but it's supposed to be the positive part where, okay, well, what's the passage of the day? I'll think about that. Or, you know, just the 5 minutes, whatever, praying with God, or well, so then this is the book I choose, and I'm not gonna read any others. I'm just gonna be stuck on one book. See, that's a metaphor for the ego getting stuck on itself and running away from itself. Because if it's a good protector, well, it's gonna need to know a lot of shit, not just one thing. And if one believes in God, and the mind is part of that, then why limit oneself? And also, or have an opponent of another culture or religion that's against or separate. That's apart from what divinity and God and mind and spirit is about, because that's wholeness. It's in all things, all the time. I mean, this is good one. Page 110. Imagine, this is out of the Kabbalah, Essential Kabbalah. Imagine that you are light. Whatever one implants firmly in the mind becomes the essential thing. Isn't that what I was just talking about, weirdly? In an inverted way. If you pick one thing, then that limitation should start. And so expansiveness. You are the light. So if you pray and offer a blessing to God, or if you wish your attention to be true, imagine that you are light all around you. In every corner and on every side is light. Turn to your right and you will find shining light. To your left, splendor, a radiant light. Between them, up above, and the light of the presence. Surrounding that, the light of life. Above it all, a crown of light, crowning the aspirations of thought, illuminating the paths of imagination, and spreading the radiance of vision. This light is unfathomable and endless.